Okay, what was that? Oh, you're there. Thanks for coming again. And today, let's talk about the most bizarre or odd inventions by each century. Yep. A face-to-face journey, right? Like a conversation, a dialogue. Wow. And we're gonna start way back in time. First century. From 0 to 99 AD, which were the most bizarre inventions. Well, that proved to be not so odd. More like some genius inventions. First, the Roman concrete. It is not weird, but in function, the recipe was lost. It's the oddity. For centuries, well, the Roman concrete proved to be so strong and so well made that hold or held structures that could survive millennia. And until recently, they forgot the secret recipe. And next, a genius invention, the hypocaust. Hypocaust was the Roman system of underfloor heating. Yes, in that period of time, the Romans heated the floors and baths with a network of hot air tunnel beneath the floors. Well, sounds very fancy and creepy to think of a floor puffing hot air to you, right? But that was a brilliant idea. This was for the first century, and next let's go to the second one. The most oddest, the most bizarre invention, the Roman sundial clock. The Roman sundial clock. That was a tiny portable sundials that could be worn as pendants or jewelry. Very sophisticated for its time. Roman sundial clocks. The mobile one. Third century. Well, genius, bizarre in the same thing. Antikythera mechanism. Early mechanical calculators for astronomical positions. Yes, in the 3rd century, we talk about 3rd centuries, and that kind of technology. These Antikythera mechanisms were a weird mix of science and magical service devices. 4th century. Well, 4th century. Chainmail gloves for gladiators. Yeah, they protected the hand but risked tearing opponent's skin. This could be set on the brutal innovation timeline. So, the chainmail gloves for gladiators. 4th century, that was, and 5th century next. In the 5th century, the Gothic siege engines. Well, that siege engines were early catapults and battering rams. with something very absurd ornate designs. More like eccentric than deadly. Wow, 5th century, 6th century. Mechanical birds in the Eastern Roman Empire, mechanical birds. Automata in places that could flap wings, sing, or pour wine. Fancy, weird, but terrifying. Yeah, terrifying. 7th century. Steer up, steer up. Changed cavalry forever, but the idea of strapping yourself onto a horse, well, even now sounds very odd. Before everything else. Steer up. Yeah. 8th century. Let's continue with the 8th century. Bizarre thing. Water-powered organs. Water-powered organs. Musical instruments that played automatically using water pressure. Imagine hearing your bathroom jingle like a symphony. Alright, this was 8th century. Let's go to 9th century. Astrolabe in 9th century. Astrolabe was a precision astronomical device that looks like a steampunk disc. With parts, of course. An over-engineered genius, right? Century. Chinese chain bomb. Chinese chain bomb. Well, what is the Chinese chain bomb? It's a water lifting device using buckets and chain. Ingenious, but strange. 11th century. Mechanical monk. Sounds weird, odd, yes. Invented in Byzantium or Byzantine Empire, Eastern Roman Empire. That 11th century device was a simple robot that could move its arms and pray. A very early attempt to robotic branch. 12th century. Wow, 12th century. Wooden clocks. With striking figures like knights or monks, the wooden clocks popping out to mark hours. Kinda creepy automation devices, but very ingenious. 13th century. Considered bizarre, the eyeglasses. Well, they were mostly not like the modern Googles. They were early magnifier lenses mounted on frames, and suddenly the world looked more bigger and clearer, and maybe blurrier at the same time. So that is 13th century, 14th century. You know that mechanical birds that I mentioned? Well, now, in the clock towers, some towns had mechanical birds that flapped wings and chirped. Hourly. It's like a medieval robotics combined with bird obsession. 15th century. Now, this was invented by a genius, Leonardo da Vinci, and is the Ornithopter, the first attempted powered human flying machine, shaped like a bird, like a deltaplane now, but it was shaped like a bird, flapping wings, but with human arms, not birds, and with no engine. More like a glider, but with flapping wings. 16th century. Bacon's cooking device for war. Sir Francis Bacon designed a combination of spit roast and cooking machine for feeding armies. He believed that it could be efficiently, but it's more, or was more, considered like an odd mix of tech and cuisine, never put in practice. 17th century. Well, this was bizarre. The flamethrower, the handheld versions, military tech. Basically, it was a liquid, let's say metaphorical liquid fire in a tube. Wildly terrifying, yet practically good. 18th century. The famous automaton chess player, the Turk automaton chess player. If you Google it, you're gonna find him. Very interesting robot. Well, it proved to be a fake chess playing machine that baffled audience for decades. A human was hiding inside, beneath the table, when magic meets deception. 19th century. Mechanical typewriter. Revolutionary, but early models could jam. Spit letters and strike fingers. Violent productivity. Mechanical typewriter and steam-powered carriage. Machine that look like tiny mobile smoke monsters. And the next 20th century, the last 20th century, the jetpack, human flight in a backpack. Well, something like ripped out of sci-fi, right? A backpack of portable flying machine. Fun, impractical, expensive, and somehow very terrifying. In 20th century we had the padlock. Very weird, the padlock. I think probably the oldest commercial invention of the century. A rock with two eyes considered as a pet, and you could carry it in your own pocket. Very weird. We are in the 21st century, and I bet AI could be the strangest invention, one of the strangest inventions for this century. We're gonna see that in the next one. Next century, of course. Okay, I think here we have some a timeline of human creativity, curiosity, and some of them, the inventions, made life easier. Now looking back in time, can consider that some of the strangest devices proved to be very ingenious. And some of them made people scratch their heads. Good. Wow. Now we are at the end. And of course, it's the outro time. And before that, don't forget to subscribe if you aren't yet and leave some comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and from time to time I make such face-to-face dialogue videos. Because some of you like them. Thank you, and we're gonna see you next time. I wish you all the best. Bye bye.